Welcome to the WACO Experience, an American story.
We, the people.
With your host, D. Scott Smith.
In order to form a more perfect union.
Interviews with leaders in business, government, and nonprofit organizations.
Promote the general welfare.
Jobs, products and services, and infrastructure for strong communities. Secure
the blessings of liberty.
The WACO Experience is an American story, a story of communities across America. It is your story.
In Waco, there's something special about it, so I take pride in that. Waco is, we're here to help everybody, man. We're here to help everybody succeed. We see that here in Startup Waco and stuff like that.
Today on the WACO Experience, an American story, our guest is third-generation Wacoan, Brad Strickland. After a tour in the Navy and a career with HEB, Brad launched his business, Patchmasters, in May of 2024. We're going to learn about his business and get his perspective on how Waco has changed since his grandmother arrived over 100 years ago. I'm your host, D. Scott Smith. Each week I bring you stories from leaders in business, government, and nonprofit organizations. You can learn more about this program, our sponsors, and the podcast version of this show by going to our website, thewacoexperience.com. This program is made possible by our sponsors: White Bluffs Construction, custom building, home remodeling. Call Seth at 254-227-2002 and schedule White Bluffs Construction to build your patio, deck, pergola, or maybe you're ready to build that custom home. Visit their website, whitebluffsconstruction.com. Chord Buddy is the world's best way to learn guitar. This Shark Tank winner is made in America. Travis Perry wanted to teach his daughter to play guitar. He told her about a magic gizmo to help. She said, "Daddy, build one for me." That night, the Chord Buddy learning system was created. Learn more at thechordbuddy.com. Biddy and Bo's Coffee offers hot and cold beverages, catering, and provides employment for people with disabilities. They have a community room you can reserve and use at no cost. Visit Biddy and Bo's Coffee today at 110 Franklin in Waco. The Cactus Rose Ranch offers Western riding lessons for beginners, intermediate, and advanced riders. Bring your own horse or use one from right there on the ranch. You'll learn confidence and fundamental horsemanship from day one. Learn more online at thecactusroseranch.com. Heart of Texas TV Indoor Billboards. My friend JB, James Battle, former helicopter pilot for the U.S. Army, and his team at Hot TV amplify your brand where it matters most. Be seen where your customers eat, work, shop, and play. Learn more on the web at hotdigitaltv.com. D. Scott here, and I am at Startup Waco. Little rainy day here, Friday. I am with Brad Strickland, and he's a Patchmaster. We're going to learn a little bit about that. His background, he's third generation. There's a couple of generations after him that are living here in the town. Yeah. Brad, give us a little introduction. Who are you? What's going on in your world?
Yep. Brad Strickland, owner of Patchmaster, drywall repair specialist. So we take care of here in Waco all the way down to Temple and any area in between. So we specialize in small to medium-sized drywall repair jobs. And then we also like partnering with our fellow tradesmen, the HVAC, the electricians, the plumbers that love cutting holes, but they don't like patching holes. So we'll follow them up and then make it complete for the homeowner. So get it back to the way it was before they started or before the damage happened. And that's our goal. So been open now. It's a Patchmaster is a franchise. They're based out of New Jersey. I launched it 2024. So May of 2024, we went live. So I've been a little over a year now. Things are going really well. Pretty much have 2 technicians running full time, hoping to hire a 3rd technician here this fall, and just grow it here in the Waco area. There's plenty of opportunities. There's a lot of people that really don't know who to go to when a small job like this happens. Most general contractors don't want to mess with them. It's just too small, but that's really in our niche market. That's what we're looking for. So that's where I'm at and loving it.
What about things like we mounted the TV to the wall with one of those brackets and put those big screws in there. Right? And took those out. Yeah. And because we wanted to move it, Is that something that we could call you guys
that's
for?
that's what we do also, man. We see it a lot, especially with the big TVs on the walls now. So anybody that's moving or whatever, we get a lot of calls, and we'll come in and patch those holes, make it right. And the big deal is it's not as much the patching, it's the matching the texture. So my guys are really specialized in, hey, let's match that texture. We try to do 100%, maybe not get 100%, but at least get it close enough to where somebody walking by it just doesn't glare them in the face. And so we'll match the texture, and we'll also do some painting, because all drywall ends with painting. So we'll match the paint and then just make it complete so it's back to normal. But yeah, holes in the walls, HVAC in Texas, and them putting those AC units up in the ceiling has definitely given us plenty of work, because it happens all the time. And then also we live on these wonderful Texas soil, and it shifts from time to time. So that gives us plenty of work too, with stress cracks and stuff like that. So yeah, if anybody has any of those type of things, reach out to Patchmaster. You can find us on the web. We have great Google reviews you can look over.
What is that web address? How would people get a hold of you?
They can get patchmaster.com, Waco Temple. And they bring us up that way. And there's a form right there they can fill out, and then I'll immediately call them back. We also got a phone number they can call, 254-300-1508. I'm experimenting with voice AI right now, so that you'll have an AI assistant answer that call and then schedule an appointment. And then I do all the quotes. So I come out personally to do all the quotes and meet the homeowner and look over everything, and it's good. And then we try to get it scheduled, usually within 2 weeks, try to get it scheduled, get it repaired, and move on.
That's a lot better than a lot of contractors out there.
Yes. And that is the hurdle that we try to overcome is people's perceptions of everything. We try to meet them like, I want to treat them just like I would want to be treated. And one is the personal connection. The other thing is we're going to be prompt. We're going to show up on time. We're going to keep things as clean as possible. Drywall is dusty for the most part, but we try to cover everything up and keep it as clean as possible, and do a professional job and be professional all the way through from start to finish. That's our goal.
Yeah, I've tried to do some work.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
My wife just shake her head. So.
Yeah. Some people, they think they can do it, and then they get in the middle of it, and they go, oh, I got a call this morning. And she said, we just replaced the drywall and did the tape and floating, and we did it horribly. Can somebody come fix it? And I said, yeah, we can come fix it. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
You started May last year.
Yes.
And how did you get started in this? What's the background? What's the story?
Here's the story. Like I said, I grew up here in the Waco area. I went in the Navy, came back, went to school here at TSTC, great technical school here in Waco. Went for biomed. I worked in medical equipment for about 3 years, and then got tired of punching a clock. So I was looking for field service work, and the grocery store chain here in Texas, HEB, a field technician job fell in my lap, and I said, well, I'll take that until I find a medical thing. But HEB was so great to me. It was really what I was looking for. I had the freedom to kind of travel and do the work, and they provided everything. And I worked for HEB for 29 years. But there at the end, I was getting a little burnout, and I was looking for something different. But I didn't want to start over. I didn't want to go work for somebody else. I've been with HEB. There was a great company. I have no qualms with them. But a guy hit me up about franchises, and I started looking into franchise things, and Patchmaster kept checking all the boxes I was looking for. I kind of grew up in the construction business. My dad was a garage door guy, but my uncles were painters and drywall people. And a couple of summers I worked with them, and so when I was looking at this, I was going, okay, there is a market for this. I know it. That kind of got my creative juices flowing, and finally I just said, yep, I'm gonna pull the trigger. So for a year I worked both. I worked HEB and Patchmaster, but this last May I stepped away from HEB. I retired from HEB, so I'm full Patchmaster now.
And that's actually a good way to start a business, is to kind of feather your way into
mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah, that gave me the ability, being with the franchise gave me the ability to kind of do that. A lot of the groundwork had kind of been set in place. I heard one technician It took me about 6 tries to find the right one, but I ended up, landed with one technician, and I worked one technician all the way up until this February, and then I got busy and ended up hiring a second technician, and things are going well with them, but I'm on the cusp right now about needing a third technician, so that's great. Most of my jobs my guys can do it by themselves, so it's one-man jobs. Occasionally I get jobs where they're a little bigger, like ceiling work and stuff like that. They might need a helper. Luckily, we have a great company here in Waco called Jack of All Trades, and I reach out to them occasionally for, hey man, I need another pair of hands for a couple of days, and and they throw me a guy, and that works out really well. So I'm able to use a local company here to kind of assist us. Been good.
That's some good business management advice right there.
Yes,
it is using a temp agency to fill those momentary gaps.
Yeah, I don't need them all the time, just occasionally. We just need and they don't even really have to be specialized, just a guy that's willing to work a little bit and help. That gives you the ability to grow. But both my employees are W-2 employees. They're background checked, they're thoroughly vetted, and they're not 1099. That's where you run into a bunch of other construction people. They're just contract here and then contract there. Try to avoid that. We'll do it from time to time. On a bigger job, we might reach out and do that. But for the most part, my 2 guys that work full-time are W-2 employees.
Well, when you work through a temp agency like Jack of All Trades, they take care of
that's all
that. They get all the
Yes.
The W-4s and the I-9s, all those, all that government paperwork.
That helps because I don't have to worry about
They
it.
track it all.
Yeah, they
you
track
just say,
everything.
this is the skill set I'm looking for. Here's how much I'm going to pay, and they just work it out from there.
They just say, where does he need to be? And I said, have him at my storage facility at 9:00, and we'll put him to work.
That's great.
Yeah.
So started full-time into it.
Yeah.
Out of HEB.
Yeah.
What was your job in the Navy?
My job in the Navy, I was in a F-18 squadron, VFA 113. Worked on the flight deck for one cruise, 1.5 cruises. And then I ended up striking to be an aviation machinist mate. So I worked on jet engines, but I did a little bit of everything, man. I painted planes for a minute and worked on the flight deck, troubleshooted on the flight deck. I was a plane captain, so I did a little bit of everything. I knew at that time, I said, okay, I'm not going to make a career out of this. So let me just experience it. And I did 4 years, and thankful. I left high school not really having direction, but Navy gave me direction. After 4 years, I said, yeah, I can sit in the classroom now. I'm not, it's not that bad now. I would have wasted that classroom experience before then. So it gave me a little focus, grew up.
I think the military is a great transition for a lot of our young folks.
Yeah. I encourage people to, especially if they're just, hey, I really don't know what to do. Hey, man, go grow up.
Meet some different people, see some different parts of the world.
Yes.
And when you're junior enlisted, which I was there as well. Yeah, you do a lot of things.
Do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Whatever. I worked in the galley, whatever was needed.
I remember we were part of the Green Wave.
There you go.
So you got your fatigues on, walk across the base, and the sergeant says, if God didn't put it there, pick it up.
That's right. Yeah, we used to call it, we do line marches out there on the flight line. So we'd all line up. And it was the same way. You look down, you see something that ain't supposed to be there, you better pick it up. And you're just walking and clearing the flight line so it doesn't get in the jet engines. Yeah. Yep.
Well, today on the WACO Experience, an American Story, we've got Brad Strickland. Brad, your family has been here. You're the 3rd generation.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about, as you said, you've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, the good. Tell us about growing up in Waco. Tell us about your family coming here.
Yeah, Waco is home to me. It always has been. I was born in '69 here in Waco, right here in Hillcrest Hospital in Waco, Texas. Got a great mother and father, still together, still live here in Waco, right outside of Waco. Still go to church here every Sunday in Waco and Belmead, which is a suburb of Waco. So growing up here was great. My dad was a garage door guy, still is a garage door guy. But at that time, we had Strickland overhead door business. That's what was here. My grandfather started that business after World War II. He came here after World War II when he married my grandmother. My grandmother was from here. My grandfather was from Anniston, Alabama. But after World War II, he moved to Waco to marry my grandmother, and they grew grew a family here. They had 4 kids, 3 boys and 1 girl. And then they all stayed in Waco and had children. And so that's how it goes. So yeah, it was great.
Well, I'm going to put a pitch in for the overhead door company for people to outsource that, to hire someone to do that.
Oh yeah.
We heard this pop in the garage. I go out there, the cable's sprung.
Yeah.
And I look online because I'm looking at it mechanically. I go, this is a pretty simple machine. I see what to do. Then I started looking at a couple of videos, and I said, there are a lot of ways to get hurt.
Yes. Yes, that spring will bite you. You know, be careful. I can remember when I guess I was 10, maybe 11. We went to work with my dad. Well, that's just the way it was. In the summertime, we went to work, you know, and we didn't work most of the time. We hauled the stuff in, and then we went and played while he worked. But we're at a job site one day, and he's winding that spring, and it slipped, and the winding bar came back and hit him in the head. It knocked him off the ladder, and I'm standing over the top of him, and I'm thinking he's dead, you know, because it hit him right between the eyes. And he knocked him out for a little bit, but he got back up, but he still has the scar right between.
Just gives me the willies thinking about that.
Oh, it's scary. It's real scary. Yeah. So real quick, I tell people, hey, you want to mess with that garage door? You better leave that spring alone. Leave it alone, man. Give it to somebody that knows what they're doing.
You're not kidding.
Yeah.
You're not kidding. All right, let's get back to Waco.
Yeah.
You've seen it change over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, from like as a kid growing up and seeing Waco, it kind of, when I was growing up, Waco kind of moved west, you know, and so from Valley Mills Drive on out west, the Richland Mall came in, you know, in the early 80s, and it you know, everything was moving that way. So everything was kind of leaving downtown, you know, and then my grandmother would always remind me, you know, downtown and Austin Avenue was where it was at when I was growing up. And she could remember coming down here as a little kid, and her dad would give her like 15 cents to buy a hamburger, a Coke, and they could go to the movie, you know, for like 15 cents. And she, you know, she just had all those stories and talk about, you know, the suspension bridge and Brazos River, and just how lively it was when she was growing up. I think a lot of that changed after the tornado that came through.
Yeah, that was 1953.
53, yeah. And so that a lot of downtown changed after that. And like I said, things started moving in the 60s and 70s, started gradually moving west. But we grew up over in Belmead. So we were I always joke with people, we were on the other side of the river. You know, we grew up on the other side of the river.
So for people that aren't familiar with the landscape, you go north and you get into East Waco, and you keep going, you get to Belmead.
Yes. Yeah, so you get across, cross I-35, you'll cross the Brazos River, and then you'll keep going north, and Belmead's right there. And but Belmead was a blue collar part of Waco, and that was it's just the way it was. All the construction workers, a lot of at that time we had General Tire facility was real big. It was right there in Belmead. So Belmead was really blue collar and working man area, but it was beautiful, man. I loved it. Kids, we played, we were always outside and grew up. So that there, but the hub of Waco has always been Baylor University. That was what we look forward to, you know. And as a family, my dad was a big Baylor fan, sports fan, and I went to the basketball game when I was like 2 weeks old at the Baylor basketball game, and we just grew up in that. So with Saturdays, we'd all go to the Baylor game. We'd sit in the end zone and we'd run around, and you know, we didn't have season tickets back at that time. We just showed up and buy the $5 ticket and sit in the end zone, and we just loved it, and we still have memories of it. So that was all part of our childhood and growing up here, and it all started for us. My grandmother, like I said, had her dad came to Waco the early 1900s, you know, and she was born here, and she lived to be 100. So this year in January, she passed away, but she was 100 years old. So she saw 100 years of Waco. So,
wow, 100 years of Waco. And she was talking about downtown and Austin Avenue being the heart, which today it is again.
It's turning. And that's why I said the good and the bad and the ugly. We're seeing the good, I think, again with Waco.
As you said, the town moved west.
Yep.
What happened to the downtown as that was happening?
Man, it was just dead. I mean, constantly. There wasn't nothing down here. There wasn't nothing to come down here for. There wasn't nothing to do. All the buildings were kind of like boarded up. If you had a business, there was just no traffic. There was no Austin Avenue. You could just walk down it. There was no cars. It was really sad. You did have I-35. So the businesses right along I-35 were okay, but once you got into Waco, the downtown there was just no activity. That has changed. Magnolia's made a big part of that.
Yeah,
I think it was starting to change even before then.
I'm interested in your perception, because today the silos are a tourist destination.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big attractant.
Yeah.
But you grew up, the silos were still here.
They were there.
But it wasn't a beautiful place as it is today.
I joked before Magnolia bought the silos and stuff, and I used to run what I did when I got out of the Navy and I was going to TSTC, I ran a paper route and I officiated sports. But I ran my paper route was right here downtown. I threw to the businesses. But there wasn't a ton. I did a bunch around the Baylor campus. I did a bunch around I-35 and then come downtown. But I was joking with somebody one time. I said, those silos, you know what they ought to do with those silos? They ought to make a flash dance, like bar thing out of it, because I remember the movie, and then come to find out, like, 5 or 6 years later, Magnolia buys them and then turns them into that. And I said, well, okay, that works too. But yeah, they had always been there, just sitting there. And I was going, okay, somebody either is going to tear those down one day or they're going to do something with them. And because they're right here in the heart of town. Back then, it didn't look like they fit in. They needed to be torn down. So I'm glad they kept them and did something with them.
It is a distinctive feature.
Yeah.
Even though the silos are not being used, but they are a landmark.
Landmark. Yep.
Just like the Alico building.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny. I grew up here in Waco. I had never been in the Alico building till like last year. And a guy invited me to do a podcast, and he was doing it up in the Alico building. And I go, born and raised here. I'd never been in it.
Rogue Media has their studios the next to the top floor.
Yes.
So it's a beautiful view out over the river, over campus, the whole landscape. It's a good spot up there. Yeah, quite a building.
Yeah, no, it's great. And like I said, it had always been a Waco landmark. So anybody, you go Alico building, everybody knew, okay, yeah, you can't miss it, So it's the tallest building. At one time, it was the tallest building west of the Mississippi, forever. But yeah, it's funny. Sometimes when you're in the town, you take things for granted. You go, hey, I don't have any business to go in there. And so I never had,
So you have Magnolia and Baylor, and you've got a vacant downtown. When did that change really happen and the downtown become kind of a hub again?
I think we started seeing it. Like I said, I think it was starting to change a little bit even before Magnolia kind of took over. I think Magnolia sped it up for sure. But there was really a concerted effort to revitalize downtown, get some businesses in here, the hotels and stuff around it. Baylor has made a big port, putting the basketball stadium on this side of I-35, makes a huge difference. But yeah, I think there was a concerted effort by the city. I give city credit on that. I think you are kind of gauged, the city itself is kind of gauged by how your downtown is active and things. And for the long time, the downtown was kind of like the black eye of Waco. Waco still had its place and it had its little mark in the Texas landscape, but it was a spot on I-35. That's all it was. It wasn't no reason to get off.
We've seen a lot of changes in communities where the downtown was active, 50s, 60s maybe, dropped off, became vacant, became dangerous places to be.
Oh yeah.
And malls sprung up. Now malls are dying.
Yeah. That's
and the downtowns are revitalized.
Yeah.
So, Brad, And I'll just remind people, we've got Brad Strickland here on the WACO Experience, an American Story. Patchmaster is his company.
Yeah.
And fixing holes in drywall for homes and businesses. Tell us about what you see in the future, because you've been here, you've got children and grandchildren here, you've got 2 more generations.
Yep.
You are in a lot of homes, talking to a lot of business owners.
Yeah.
I know you're also involved here at Startup Waco.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see is the future for businesses, for jobs here in Central Texas, and especially in Waco?
Yeah. Now, I think the future's definitely bright here in Waco. I was talking to somebody the other day, man. One thing I really have always enjoyed about Waco, and one thing that I really take pride in is Waco is, I mean, we're here to help everybody, man. We're here to help everybody succeed. We see that here in Startup Waco and stuff like that. The local business owner can succeed here in Waco. It doesn't have to be a big, it doesn't have to be a big franchise or anything like that. People enjoy supporting local businesses. They go out of their way to support local businesses more than I think even the franchise models and stuff like that. Those succeed well too, because we got people from all over the world and coming here to Waco now. So people want to go somewhere. Oh, I'm familiar with this, but you have the options everywhere. So yeah, I think the future is really bright. The connections to people, the connections to businesses. I'm sitting in a room the other day, and this guy is making a huge living off selling records. LPs, like vinyl records, and it's right here in Waco. And I asked him, I said, well, how much online business are you doing? He said, 0. I said, how are you surviving? It's just the traffic and people here in Waco looking for something different. And so, yeah, that's a perfect example of, hey man, if you can sell records, by people just walking in your store and supporting you and make a pretty good living out of it, hey man, the sky's the limit, for things. So I'm positive. That was one of the reasons, and one of the reasons I chose the franchise. Because initially I was looking at a different franchise, and they really wanted me in San Antonio, and I was going, no man, I want something here in Waco. I want to be here in Waco. I want to be the drywall specialist in Waco that people turn to. I want to be proud. I want to make my family proud. My dad had that business for years. Strickland overhead doors, and things happen, things change, but when people called my dad, they knew they were going to get an honest repairman to come fix their garage door. Well, I want the same relationship with my homeowners and stuff like that. And in Waco, there's something special about it. So I take pride in that. Take pride that, hey man, we can be that in Waco, and it's available. So yeah, I think the future's bright. I'm looking forward to it. We'll roll with it.
Thank you, Brad.
Yeah.
It's been fun talking with you.
Oh, no, I enjoyed it, man. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
The Waco Experience, an American Story, is a production of D. Scott Smith Company, all rights reserved. Thank you for listening.